Okay, so the next series of videos is basically going to go through the physiology of the heart. How does the heart function? I mean, what is it doing? How do we know it's working properly? So the very first thing that we want to see is that the heart has a job, and that job is to move blood through the body. In order to move blood throughout the body, it also has to move blood through the heart. So the very first thing that you need to know is how to use the anatomy to figure out how blood flows through the heart. So you can come in here and you can label everything, okay? Like hopefully you just like transported your labels from the previous sets of videos that hopefully you watched into here, and you don't necessarily have to go through and label everything one more time. But I'm going to do that as I do blood flow. Okay, so you want to think about here, you're going to have carbon dioxide rich blood. Sorry, I just want to do this in a 15-minute video, and so then I write really fast. I should stop thinking so much about that. So we have carbon dioxide rich blood coming in from superior vena cava and inferior vena cava, and then there's an opening right there for the coronary sinus. Okay, so just think about here, if you want to label superior vena cava, and then here you can do inferior vena cava, and I'm just going to use abbreviations. You are not allowed to use abbreviations on an exam, okay? And then you could put a CS right there for coronary sinus. But I'm going to write it all out on another chart. It's just harder to write out on this chart. So as that carbon dioxide rich blood comes through these veins, it's going to fill the right atrium. This is my right atrium. And as it fills the right atrium, actually what's going to happen is the tricuspid valve, that tricuspid valve is going to be open. And that's going to allow for blood to passively move into the the right atrium, the right ventricle, like that, okay? Then we're going to see that there's going to be an electrical process that basically is going to contract contract the atrium, blood squishes all the way into the ventricle. Then that electrical impulse gets sent to the ventricle starts to contract, the tricuspid valve will close, the pulmonary valve will open, and blood will then be pushed via that contraction through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary trunk. Okay, then blood's gonna go through, I'm gonna change some of my arrows here, sorry. Is gonna go through the pulmonary arteries, like that, towards the lungs. Okay, so I'm just gonna draw, there's a lung, and there's a lung. Once that blood gets to the lungs, what ends up happening is carbon dioxide is going to be pushed into the lung, basically released from blood and pushed into the lung. And at the same time, oxygen that you're breathing in is actually coming into the lungs, and it's going to get absorbed into blood. Okay, so all of that is what's known as the pulmonary circuit. Essentially, the pulmonary circuit sends blood from the right side of the heart, from the body, all the way to the lungs. You get rid of carbon dioxide, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to have a systemic circuit over here. The job of the systemic circuit is to pull oxygen-rich blood from the lungs, push it back through the left side of the heart, and then out towards the body. So we're going to see O2-rich blood is actually going to enter the pulmonary veins right here, right? Remember, those are the pulmonary veins. You see how you have to know blood flow pattern in order to understand that those are pulmonary veins. So blood is then going to fill the left atrium right there. Okay. As blood fills the left atrium, we're going to see that this valve, which is the bicuspid slash mitral valve, is open. And that means blood's going to passively move in here into the left ventricle. Drop my pen. As blood moves into the left ventricle, again, we're going to have that contraction of the left atrium. As the left atrium contracts, blood squeezes all the way into the left ventricle. Then that electrical message is going to be sent to the ventricle. The ventricle is going to contract, and it's going to force blood up through the aortic valve, which is right there, and into the aorta. Basically, blood's going to go into the aorta. Remember, right coronary artery opening is right about there. Left coronary artery opening is about right there. So blood goes to the heart first via the coronary circulation. And then essentially blood's going to go out to the body, goes to like the head, the neck, and the upper limbs. And then the aorta is going to come back down, back behind the heart. And essentially that blood is going to end up going towards our body cells. So I'm just going to draw a body cell here. Okay, once that blood gets to the body cell absorbs oxygen. But the body cell has been absorbing lots of oxygen and it converts it into carbon dioxide. So basically the carbon dioxide gets absorbed back into the vein, and then that vein goes all the way like that, or I could have actually done it a little bit better. That vein picks up blood and maybe goes into inferior vena cava, superior vena cava, or coronary sinus. So there's a whole blood flow through the heart, okay? So this is one way that you can draw it, is if you have a heart, you can label everything and then you kind of know how it goes through. Let's do another video and I'll show you how to make maybe a more simplistic diagram to show you how blood flows through the heart.